Hello and welcome to the Dead Air Dudes. I'm Izzy.
I'm Raka. What up, Dead Air Nation?
What up, Dead Air Nation? Now, since we just did, or we're about to do, or, Bad Juju series based upon your favorite blood-sucking freaks, we decided, you know what, let's go back and do a retro review or comparison show to book of FX's The Strain.
It came out, debuted on 2014.
Yes.
I have here book one of the Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan's The Strain graphic novel. I'm going to thumb through a few pages here because the artwork is amazing. I'm doing no justice with this poor camera work.
Who was the artist? Who drew it?
Oh, I had it here.
Check the first page. Check the cover.
Mike Huddleston. Colors by Dan Jackson, lettering by Clem Robbins, but art by Mike Huddleston.
Now, approximately, I would say maybe a year to a year and a half before,
2012.
I happened to be at Barnes and Noble's looking for a good book to read, and what caught my eye was Guillermo del Toro wrote a book. I'm like, okay. You read the back, and you're like, wow, vampires. But they're not vampires. It made very clear that it's not your traditional vampire. I'm like, all right, cool. I just happened to see The Town recently, and I'm like, okay, The Town was great. Who wrote the book to The Town? Chuck Hogan. Who wrote the book with Guillermo del Toro? Chuck Hogan. So therefore, you have a dude who actually wrote a really good book that was turned into a pretty good movie, and Del Toro's crazy ideas. Went to the website, researched the whole thing, was freaking awesome. All right, now, I went out at the time, the paperback came out, I had it, I read it. It's in pieces, people, so I didn't want to bring it up. But this is book two. Now, not sure if you guys can see it. Called The Fall. Del Toro, Chuck Hogan, all right? And this is book three.
Eternal
Light.
Eternal Night.
All right? Now, back to Raka. Carry on.
Okay, I know, just to pile on, for those that do not know, and shame on you if you do not know, Chuck Hogan, Prince of Thieves were turned into The Town. And then, of course, Guillermo del Toro, Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, and obviously Strain, and many, many others. He's got a wicked, wicked good mind. And so when this, well, both independently.
Freak in the best possible way.
Yeah, independently, both Izzy and I gravitated towards The Strain. It's vampires. It's great graphics. It's great storytelling. The great authors. Great, all the way down. And so I was really geeked when it was hooked up with FX to make the series. Now, of course, the Walking Dead had come out years before and deviated, I would say, significantly from the book storyline.
Definitely.
So I was fearful that would happen again here because I get it. Television's a different medium. You do have to cater certain crowds, certain mainstream audiences, much to our disdain. But I have to say, at least season one, episode one, was literally word for word and scene by scene and absolutely fantastic. From JFK landing of the plane to the covert secret ways to get the coffin off.
There's a couple things, like there's no such thing as 777, obviously, so but
obviously they have to make minor tweaks to capture it on the big screen and make it relevant to today's current events and whatnot.
Only thing,
But by and large, it's a pretty close representation of the artwork and the literature.
Oh, definitely. The funniest thing about the whole thing was that when the book, meaning the books, the actual novels came out, I was part of the, I guess the community, whatever, and he was adamant about saying that he did not want to make a movie out of this. Guillermo was very adamant about it.
But he also expressed that he wrote it with in mind that it would be a TV series.
But it was turned down.
Right. I mean, shame on you, mother flowers out there who turned this down. Are you kidding me?
Obviously, the books hit, I guess, the bestsellers, and of course, then obviously the town was a big hit. And oh, by the way, you know what, Guillermo, could you bring that zombie book back? No, it's not zombies, nitwit. It is vampires. Or better yet, a virus. So that being said, let's go.
All right. The first real big discrepancy that caught my eye, and
first give us the main characters at least.
Oh, okay, main character. So everything centers around I guess you would call him forensic pathologist, Doctor Ephraim Goodweather, played by Corey Stoll, who, by the way, I think did a spectacular job as the Doctor. I can't make a critique on the writing as far as the script goes for the TV series. We'll get that to them in a moment. But Goodweather is on board. He has to investigate a very odd occurrence in the JFK landing of a plane, which is highly suspect for bioterrorism. Seemingly everybody on the plane is dead. His partner, Dr. Nora Martinez, played by Mia Maestra.
Maestra.
Fantastic job as well. There's obviously history between the two. There's chemistry between the two. Dr. Goodweather has been estranged from his wife. I think they're separated at this point or divorced.
His wife,
Kelly. And they have a son. And their son is Zach. Now, these are your main characters. And then your main characters as far as...
Yeah, Kelly played by Natalie Brown. Then you have...
But the big one, the big guy in all this is the old man, Abram
Satrakian,
who is a Romanian Jew Holocaust survivor. And not only was a Holocaust survivor, but he's been introduced to the Stegoi, the vampires, from youth, even before this. And there's some...
Now, who is Satrakian played by?
David Bradley.
Now, did you know, fun fact here, David Bradley played who? I mean, I'm assuming you're a fan of Game of Thrones as well.
Ooh. Yes.
Red Wedding.
Yes, the king of the Red Wedding,
Frey,
who sealed the deal to basically murder the entire Stark family and everybody in attendance.
At the same time, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it's something that I'm a sticker for this. In the pilot or the first episode, Satrakian was played by a different actor.
Really? Whom?
John Hurt played Satrakian.
Really?
He did. After that episode, David Bradley was brought in after Game of Thrones to play Satrakian. And they have... Well,
I think he plays Satrakian more than anybody I could think of. I think he had him to...
At that point, at least for me, being a huge Game of Thrones fan...
You couldn't separate the two.
Obviously, I was pissed off that he did what he did to, my house.
You could not separate.
And I couldn't,
my friend.
No joke. It took me a season to really accept him as a Satrakian.
But when you did he not perform that?
Oh no, he did.
Beyond admirably. I'm talking, and it's uncanny how close he looks. to the book, to the graphic novel picture. It's very uncanny. I mean, it's
Show us a quick.
quite scary. Try to get the gaze, the glare from the.
That shit looks pretty damn fucking cool in the freaking in the book. Now,
So
another quick tidbit before that, and then we'll go back. Vasily Fett, which we forgot to mention.
well, he's a pivotal character, but he's a little bit on the fringe. Played by Kevin Durant.
Originally, he was destined to play by none other than Guillermo del Toro's boy, Ron Perlman, Hellboy himself.
Really, I could see that.
The character was written specifically for Ron Perlman in mind.
They're both very tall, very muscular, very manly, very brutish. And that's basically his role. Vasily Fett is an exterminator. So how apropos to the vermin, which,
New York, so he's like
but he seems to actually have a very good background in demolition and can wire up bombs to basically everything and anything. So we have the billionaire. We have the billionaire Eldrite Palmer, who's played by Jonathan Hyde. Again, brilliant performance in my opinion. He played a very detached billionaire who is in bed with the man himself, the Strigoi, the man himself, the seventh Strigoi.
Which, by the way, what is the bounds? So if you have not seen it, turn away now. If not, enter the fray.
And then the last character is Mr. Quinlan, who is the hybrid boy, hybrid man vampire, who's actually the son, in a very odd way, the son of the Strigoi. But he is now deemed a expert.
But he's not really.
No, he's the hunter for the seven vampires.
Of course, you got Eichhorst.
Thomas Eichhorst.
You got Dutch.
Thomas Eichhorst is.
You forgot the Master. You forgot,
Well, he's the Master's the seventh one. I mean, but not breaking down every character just to get into the. This is a vampire.
Eichhorst is a huge character. Eichhorst is.
He's a huge. He's a Nazi. He's a Nazi who
general who
he was at his life's end, doing his nasty, evil, atrocious deeds.
Gave his life.
Struck a deal with the Master to serve him forever, to bring about the Fourth Reich, to end humanity, all the above. But he's basically the lead whipping boy for the Master.
But also, coincidentally, he's also was the general in the camp where Tetrakian was.
So the entire series is basically vampires meet 3 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon. Everybody's intertwined. But it comes to a head in New York City where the plane lands, and then Dr. Goodweather and Nora Martinez have to investigate what the hell happened. And I think there's only 4 survivors. And the survivors are actually the seeds of the Master. Now, the Master cannot independently travel and traverse water. So they have to have aid by slaves, by their lieutenants to get them across water, to take him from Europe into the United States. And in conjunction with billionaire Thomas Eichhorst, Eldrite Palmer, in conjunction with them, they're going to take over the world. And as things play out, Dr. Goodweather has some family problems and has other problems, and eventually the vampires take over.
But the key with the whole thing is the fact that they're not your normal vampires, in the sense that
Can
But
you
after
quickly give the origin?
Of your blood, they are. It's almost like a virus in which they take over.
Well, let's touch upon that because that is my first
Go ahead.
pet peeve, if you will, with book versus movie. The Strigoi, they are in fact the closest thing. They are vampires. They suck blood. But their origin is God had sent his angels to rid the world of Sodom and Gomorrah and to cleanse.
Wait. Are you going to mention it, Raka? I mean, all right. This is one of the huge, if not the biggest, difference between the book and the show. We have this religious aspect, this religious background within the whole story where...
Oh, I got to get to it. How do you not? It's the pink elephant in the room.
The master is...
It ties into the origin story.
The master is an angel. Or...
All angels.
Yes.
So there were three angels of death sent upon Sodom and Gomorrah.
Here we go.
Right. And I believe his name. Well, you have Michael,
Gabriel, and Azrael, which is
Azrael. I was gonna say Azrael, but Azrael. So
like Oz.
they have to cleanse the sinners, right? And Azrael loved it too much.
Kind of dug it a little bit too much.
Really went that extra mile.
But God said, you know what? Chill. Nah, I like it too much. You know what? Gabe, Mikey, handle this shit.
Take them out. Now, you got to give credit to the writing. If there's 5 people on Earth I want to have dinner with and talk about at length and get into their minds, he's one of them. And I might be scared out of my wits what comes out of his mouth. Because as crazy as this is, it is so creative. Because it's a spin on something that's already there. So Gabriel and Michael, they don't do him in easy. They tear their brother angel apart. Long, hard, and torturous. Now, to add insult to the fire, if you have 2 angels ripping apart another angel, which, my God, why did they not put this in the freaking series?
Yeah, you know
it
what?
would have been epic.
People, every time religion is brought upon, I mean, this is,
I know it's divisive, it's controversial.
Afraid to bring religion, because you have those who will love it and those who will be like, whatever.
Okay, all right, but for the sake of this,
it was shredded into 7 pieces to be spread around the earth.
And one of the pieces lands in one of the 1,000 islands in Canada.
Ontario.
So the problem is the dead angel's flesh was still bleeding.
Yes.
And so the blood from the 7 pieces of Azrael seeped into the ground.
Yes.
And formed into the 7 master Stigois.
Exactly.
The throat component is what was buried in one of the 1,000 islands in Canada, in Ontario. Now,
yes. So
add craziness to he is the youngest one, right? And as the youngest one, he was constantly
the ancient one, yes.
He was constantly teased and berated and belittled and made to feel small and insignificant to the 6 other older brothers.
He'd be like, fuck y'all, after a while. I mean, once you get...
And that's exactly why he, for centuries, devised this plan to rid the other 6 and be the sole master of vampires and farm humans for his bloodlust forever. So, yeah, spoilers alert, whatever. Dude, you have to get that first to understand my biggest gripe with the series is that was not included and that
I'm surprised you brought
that intertwined. No, well, hey, you know what? You know what? Hit the home run first. I'm not waiting for the bases loaded to hit the grand slam.
People be like, what? The fans of this, because I have friends who they actually like the strain without reading the books, graphic novels, or reading the novels, and they're like, it was awesome. Yeah, I drop this knowledge on them, and they'll be like, what the fuck?
Then we'll pause right there because we'll wrap that up to the end. Let's talk about Nora. Nora is the love interest in the whole book. Now they do separate. They do separate in the book.
We're gonna go with a bunch of different. If we're gonna do differences from the book or books to the story, there's a lot more before Nora. Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
Part of my language is the douche nozzle in the show as opposed to the book. He is, especially when they changed the actor, which I'm not sure if you noticed that.
Yes, I noticed that.
Okay.
I think season 3.
He made him even more annoying than the first kid, but that's besides the point. Eldridge Palmer had a bigger role in the show, which I get that. So did Icor's, because obviously they wanted Icor's to butt heads with.
Well, they pitted them together, yeah, against each other. I mean,
which was awesome, and the actor killed it. So, I mean, you know,
the cast I have no issue with. The direction of the writing after season 2.
Well, I think they were kind of hampered with the fact that they didn't know whether or not they're going to come back.
I don't care.
That kind of affects the way you have to write the show. So if you're building to, let's say, a 5, 6, 7 season commitment, and you might get canceled next year, you know what? I'm devoting all these years of my life into this show, which I believe in. I want to finish it. So I respect the fact that they did the best they could haphazardly and got it done. All right. Jim's betrayal.
Listen, no, I got to pause right there. I get what you're saying.
Who played Jim?
I get what you're saying from a survival point of view, but from an artist point of view, no. Because you chintz out and then you end up with a product that's not continuous and disharmony. And why stick with the book and it's going great and then you deviate? What's the reason? Unless I could think, this smells like contractual issues.
It's not it's ratings, bro. It's ratings.
Okay, so before we get to Nora, what other notes have you?
Well, Jim's betrayal was completely different in the book. All right. Then there's no Dutch in the book, so that's a huge, enormous fucking thing.
No, they took a page out of Walking Dead.
All right, Dutch essentially freaking again, spoilers. I mean,
who's the biggest character who's still surviving in The Walking Dead? Daryl.
But Daryl wasn't even in the books.
Exactly, and this is their Daryl. Except, to be honest, didn't make.
It's even bigger and worse than Daryl.
Didn't make the impact. In fact, I thought she was a rather odd distraction, to be honest.
Dutch was a complete
fail.
Yeah, and all right, let's just say it. She helps the vampires rule the world.
She's a computer tech expert.
They have 3 books. They fight. By the second, the vamps take over the world. And by the third,
they cause a nuclear winter, and they seal out the sun so that vampires can become Blade, and they could all walk the earth in daylight.
Mr. Fitzwilliam had a huge role in the show, in the book, which I was welcome to that. That was cool. All right. And obviously, now we go to Nora. Nora is one character here, one character here.
Nora stays in the book. Nora stays to the end. Now, she jumps ship with Ephraim because Ephraim turns out to be a total idiot sometimes. But in the book, I mean, she gets off at the end of season 2. That's their cliffhanger. That's their great season ender. I mean, Now, how she does it, you can argue left and right. You know, she does a heroic self-sacrifice on the third rail. You like that?
I mean, if you're gonna give her the character, it was kind of cool. But
It was a cool way to go out, but I left myself saying, what the
start
heck?
for her when you have her get infected by Kelly of all people, which if you haven't listened to, is Ephraim's ex freaking wife.
But she's now infected, and she's part of the Stegoi army.
And in the book, Nora leaves Ephraim.
She goes with Vasily.
Fucking Fett. And
Goes
has
with
2 kids with Fett and survives the whole freaking thing.
That was my second pet peeve.
So, yeah. And of course, the ending.
Well, the end. That's why I had introduced that before.
It's just
So,
and I have to admit, I had to read it again because I had forgotten how crazy different the ending to the book
well,
is, the ending of the show. So,
let me detonate my own nuke for season 4. Okay, this is my rant. It's an abomination, disharmony course of action that they took with the entire season 4. First, they jump ahead without filling in a big gap of information.
Let me answer one thing. Now, if they told you eliminate season 4 and you end season 3 the way it ended, would you have been happy? Meaning you get a resolution, but it ends at season 3. Canceled, nothing. That's it. Done. Or would you have preferred to have the ending at season 4?
I would have
the book, so you know.
No, I prefer the ending of the book, even though the ending of the book pisses me off a little bit.
But I'm saying, okay, season 3, it ends. I think it ends with what's her face chained up with Ike Horse and everything. She's gonna get eaten and everything, and it ends with a cliffhanger, kind of, sort of. Boom, canceled. Nothing else. Or season 4, and
Okay, let me put it this way.
yes,
I get, and I'm not putting this fire pit thing on you for any reason, but I get why you can't throw in the biblical aspect of the spoilers abound, people. If you turn it off right now, if you don't want it.
They refuse.
But in the book, after everything's said and done, and humanity's torn to pieces, and they detonate nuclear bombs, and so many millions of people are dead, maybe billions. God accepts Vasily's the body back of the master as its whole, as the angel part, kind of like redemption. Like, oh, you know, it's a big misunderstanding. You learn your lesson. Will come. Okay, I'm not cool with that either. It makes the whole thing kind of cop out. But I think there could have been a more creative way. Now, I wasn't completely upset with the way it ended. I was really more upset with how pathetic season 4 was on the whole. The way it ended was the son, actually, the big douchebag, as you said, gained redemption.
Early on, as he got old,
Well, he began to see the light.
he wasn't as bad.
Because he was growing up, he wanted his mom back. He realized that his mom was taking over. His mom was no longer his mom. He realized that his dad was trying all his best, even though he's so flawed, he was trying all his best to rectify everything. And he was the only one that was left that loved him. So when he realized that good weather had been taken over and become the next host body for the master, realized that everything is dead, realized that all of humanity has died, realized that he was the only saving grace left to what's the word, rectify anything, salvation. It was the son who finally detonated the nuke and takes out the master, his dad, and himself. That's how it ends. But season 4 as a whole was horribly written, poorly paced, terrible beats, terrible storylines. I mean, it seemed as though they just rushed to finish the whole thing, call it a day, and move on to the next project.
Why did he nuke everything? I mean, the cat out of the bag. I mean, we're here already. We're just spoiling everything, so might as well.
I mean, do you like the ending?
Okay. You have two things. No matter what you do in a book, whatever you imagine is always going to be better than what is put on screen. I don't care what anyone says. I have not seen something better than what I imagined on screen. All right, bottom line.
Correct.
Meaning reading a book to an adaptation, for that matter. So, yeah, I mean, I get it for what it was. The story in The Night Eternal is so crazy over the top that I'm not sure how it would have gone on screen either.
But there's like 3 episodes where Fett and company are trying to obtain a nuke. I mean, really? You're dragging this thing out for 3 episodes?
But that seemed more realistic than freaking everybody come here, they miss a nuke, and I mean, and then angels popping out of nowhere and take it. That's just a little, oof. It's a bit hokey. A bit hokey.
Okay. Again,
And mind you, I enjoyed it, but I'm reading it, I'm like, really? F me, man. Really?
I get that. I get the ending. Okay,
Hmm.
let's do it this way. Let's do this. Season 1 was knock it out of the park, right? Season 1 was 5 stars.
That.
Season 2, I give it 4.5 because of Nora, but it was actually pretty darn good. And the special effects of the Stegoi, and then the introduction of Mr. Quinlan. Season 3 with the best part of season 3 were the flashbacks of Mr. Quinlan and his origin story.
That is awesome.
It is awesome.
I thought they weren't going to keep it from the book, and that
Part was awesome. But I'm sorry to say, season 4, you might as well just skip to the ending because season 4 was an utter waste of time until you got to maybe the second to the last 2 episodes. I guess then that brings us to our summation here.
I was gonna read you freaking the last thing. I mean, it's just
No, you know, if you want to indulge us, sir, please. If you feel so moved that it will add to the deflating souffle.
Okay. All right. It's all right. This is from the novel. You know, they're already there. They, you know, in fact, they're fighting with the Master at the last battle at 1,000 Islands.
Yeah, one of the 1,000 islands in Ontario or some Lake Ontario.
Mr. Quinlan's body arose, a new look in his eyes, a new will, that of the Master, who at that point the Master took over Quinlan's body. You know, they decimated the Master, so of course the Master to Quinlan. When you stood dark of human nature, completely but not love. This is love, said Epps. God, it hurts, but this is love. And he, who had been late to most everything in his life, was on time for this. The most important appointment he ever had, he had pushed the switch, and nothing happened. That's the point where the nuke. For one agonizing moment, the island was an oasis of stillness to Ep, though the helicopters were hovering overhead. Ep saw Mr. Quinlan coming at him, one final lunge at the Master's will, then 2 punches to his chest. Ep was down on the ground, looking at his wounds, seeing the bloody holes in his chest, just to the right of his heart, his blood seeping into the ground. Ep looked past Mr. Quinlan at Zach, his face glowing in the helicopter light, his will still present. Still not overcome, he saw Zach's eyes, his son, even now his son. He still had the most beautiful eyes. Ep smiled, and then the miracle happened. It was the gentlest of things. No earthquake, no hurricane, no parting of the seas. The sky cleared for a moment, and a brilliant column of pure, sterilizing light, a million times more powerful than any helicopter spotlight, poured down. The dark cloud covered, opened, and the cleansing light emerged. The born, now infected by the master's blood, the born, Mr. Quentin, hissed and writhed in the brilliant light. Smoke and vapor surged from its body as the born screamed, lobster being boiled. None of this shook Ep's gaze from the eyes of his son, and as Zach saw his father smile at him there, in the powerful light and the glorious day, he recognized him for what he was, recognized him as Dad. Zach said softly, and the nuclear device detonated. Everything around the flashpoint evaporated. Bodies, sand, vegetation, helicopters, all gone. Purged. That's it. For the epilogue. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for story time.
But
To bed.
was that better than the book?
No. Of course, I'm not taking the literal ending of the book.
You're talking.
Again, let's not get it all twisted. I understand completely why, if they didn't start out with the biblical aspect and the angelic aspect and the origins, don't finish it with it. And I get it. I kind of was okay more than I was. I'm okay now more than I was before when I first saw the ending.
Yeah.
I really think that at the end of season 3 and most of season 4, I found it to be a bit of a drag and very disappointing. Kind of like the actors and the writers were going through the motions just to get to the ending. And for me, when you
I can see that.
when you get that vibe, then I'm not into it like you're not into it. If you got a bunch of stage actors just can't wait to wrap this up and go to the end, you know what? Wrap this up and let me go leave early, cut traffic, and get home. You know,
we go back to it. That's the problem with network TV. You're gonna tell me, okay, FX is not network TV, but it is. It's cable TV, but
it is.
You know, it might not be NBC. And the thing is, these people, they're all.
And I get it, and that's the lure of a movie versus a TV. In a movie, it's a singular piece. It's a singular piece where you don't care. You're going to do it your way. Here, you got to cater to the crowds, and like you said, for the ratings and to be renewed.
Man.
Yeah, you have to be renewed. So then every season, same thing we're witnessing is happening with The Walking Dead. So, guys, unfortunately, in our rating system, as a whole, it must get popcorn with the butter, with the salt, with the fixings, the nachos, the cheese, the dip, jalapenos on top, the whole thing. I'm not going to take away the total absolute overall rating just because I was not in love with the end of season 3 and most of season 4. I do really, really, really like the ending. I'm not in love with it. I really do like the ending. But the first 2.5 seasons were epic. And pretty darn epic. I couldn't wait to see the next episode. That's how great I really love the first 2.5 seasons. As a whole, it's not going to get a 10, but it's a damn 9.9. So on the rocker scale, in the Dead or Dude scale, I give it top billing. I have to. Not completely perfect. It's not perfect. I know, and not everything is perfect. But I got to give it the salt, butter, fixings, everything.
All the hate that you gave it, I'm shocked you gave it that high a rating.
Well, because I still will watch the first 2.5 seasons. I still will watch it all the way to the ending. If it came out tomorrow, I'll watch the first episode is mint.
Would you watch it again right now?
Yeah, I would.
The whole series?
No. If I had it gutted out through portions of the 4th season, I would pretty much fast forward to the last 3 episodes, maybe.
Yeah, you couldn't fast forward. Would you watch it again?
If it's all or nothing,
Yeah.
yeah, then it's all. I can't say nothing.
I can't give the high rating. I mean, I know I'm going against our rating system, but let's say out of 10, I would give this 6.5,
Wow.
maybe 6.8.
Based on.
The ending, I would say that it, not to say that the ending of the book is, 10, but I think that it took so many liberties, and when even talking about Gus, when you're talking about freaking
Oh, all the subplots.
yeah, the sub, I mean, which in the book were great, but the show were kind of, you had the mayor and the whole, dude. I mean, so
I mean, if you put it that way, out of 10, I'm giving it an 8.5.
7 out of 10, boom.
But
Which
now, would you recommend it?
Yes. If you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of vampires, if you're a fan of anything remotely in the area, yes, watch it. Better than, again, I'm giving it that kind of it's not low, but that rating because I enjoyed the books that much.
Oh, I enjoyed the graphic novel that much. I didn't read the book,
I was
but
offended at times
this
with
story,
the show.
this story was fascinating, and the way he intertwined all the characters, that they were all destined to meet for this grand royal battle apocalypse.
Right, not
what
picking
have you.
books, the graphic novels, but that's besides the point. So
All
yeah,
right. So at the end of the day, guys, I guess how we start this off, instead of rating the actual series standalone, graphic novel / book versus the TV series, there are some stark differences. There are some
yes,
mostly adherence to the literature, which is great. If you happen to want to read a horror book, grab it by all means. You want a really well done interpretation of the novel into a graphic comic book, please, fabulous, by all means.
exactly, because
You will watch this, reread it over and over again.
don't get
And
it.
you find yourself wanting to watch the series. Understand there's going to be some differences, but it is actually pretty darn good.
Don't get something because the book starts off as like they purposely not trying to tell you that it's vampirism, the virus. It's a huge thing throughout, a great portion of the book, especially the first book, that it's not, So, but great writing.
All right, guys. So a lot of food for thought, a lot of recommendations, a lot of things for you to digest. Definitely go pick up any one of the three we just mentioned. And you have yourselves a good night. I'm Raka.
I'm Izzy.
Save the whales.
Stay safe, say those guys, and watch the strain if you want. But
Watch The Strain. There's not that much else out there that's much better. Watch The Strain.
Read the books first and enjoy.
Definitely pick this up.
Take care, guys.